Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Call this meeting of the Kennebunk Power District Board of Trustees to order on Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. Two of our members are online tonight, so we will have roll call voting only. Also, we have in our presence Casey Leonard from Runyon, Kirstein, and Willett to give the audit. I guess because we have people not in physical attendance, we'll call the roll. Go around the table. Kurt, you want to start?
Excuse me, a roll?
Yes. Are you here?
I'm here.
Okay. Robert Emmons.
Robert Evans.
Bob Georgitis.
Wayne Berry.
Matt Rancourt,
Duncan Wentworth.
and everybody knows Casey.
Once a year.
Yes.
So our next item on the agenda is the 2024 audited financial statement presentation. And Casey, it's up to you.
Okay, great. So another great audit. Things went really smooth. A big thanks to Matt and everyone. We just finalized things in the last week. We were waiting for some legal letters, so our report was actually the 24th of April. So the ink is pretty fresh. Things went really well. I have a PowerPoint presentation similar to what I've done in the past. I'm going to go through that. And as I do so, if you have any questions, jump right on in. So if you go to page 2, there's a summary of the audit results. In terms of the opinion on the financial statements, KLPD received an unmodified opinion, which means the financial statements are fairly stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, or it was a clean opinion, which is exactly what you want to see. In addition to that, in 2024, we performed an audit in accordance with government auditing standards. We usually do. So here we consider the district's internal controls over the financial reporting process. So we looked at all the procedures that were in place that helped to ensure that the year-end balances are materially correct. We also performed tests of the district's compliance with certain provisions of laws, regulations, contracts, and grant agreements. And in terms of that Yellow Book audit, we didn't have any material weaknesses, nor did we have any significant deficiencies. So all good things. We did have a few recommendations. These are repeats. I know you've heard me talk about them in the past. I'll make it quick. So we have a comment here about segregation duties. This comment has been here forever and always, I'm sure. And it really has to do with the small staff size and the fact that Matt is involved in many of the accounting functions. I know you guys are trying to grow a little bit. It helps this situation a little bit, but at the end of the day, Matt is still really involved in almost everything in terms of accounting and finance. And what that means is that there's a greater risk of fraud and there's a greater risk of errors. And not that either have occurred, but as your auditor, I need to tell you that because you have one individual who's so involved in pretty much everything, that there's some risk there. As I've also mentioned in the past, there are a few things we do recommend. We recommend that management and the board review financial information on a regular basis. I know you guys do. Ask questions. Despite what people often think, they think that auditors come in a few days out of the year and find fraud. Usually fraud is found by people who are in your position. You start asking questions about financial information that they're receiving. So you get year-to-year comparisons or warrants. You start going through those, you ask questions. So I guess my recommendation is be part of the process of, kind of mitigating that risk. Any questions about that? Again, I know we've talked about it many, many times in the past.
As a percentage, how many of your clients would you say get this note?
60 to 70.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's usually my clients like the city of Biddeford that have 10 people in their finance office or more, entities that are rather large. They have 10, 15 people. They're really able to take functions, give them to different employees, break things up. So it's pretty common. It's pretty common comment. Governments, your local governments in the state of Maine run pretty thin, administratively. So it's a pretty common comment. Then again, we had a comment about computerized capital asset records. So as you all know, The district currently maintains annual subsidiary ledgers for capital assets. So we're recommending that that be computerized. I know it's on Matt's to-do list. I'm sure it's always a long to-do list. But there is hopefully a plan to make that happen in the future. So then moving on to graph 3, we start to get into some of the financial results for the year. So this graph shows your net position or your equity position, and it is a presentation over the last 5 years. And we've broken down your net position into 3 different categories, and I'm just briefly going to describe what's included in each one of those. So first of all, there's net investment in capital assets, and that represents your capital assets less accumulated depreciation and any related long-term debt that was used to purchase those capital assets. Then there's restricted net position that comprises resources with constraints placed on their use externally. So those are amounts that have strings attached to them. And specifically for KLPD, that represents the 2007 bond sinking fund. We have to restrict that for purposes of our presentation of net position. And then unrestricted net position is what remains after amounts are recognized in the other categories. In total, net position in 2024 increased by about $792,000. We'll see some of the reasons why that happened on the next few graphs. You guys have had a nice steady increase here over the 5 years. So nice to see. Graph 4 shows revenues, and this is a comparative between fiscal years 2024 and 23. In total, revenues were about $859,000 higher in 2024. Some of the larger variances are mentioned here, just kind of at a very high level. Electricity and R&S revenues increased in total by $657,000 due to the increased demand. Similarly, delivery charges increased in 2024 by $138,000 due to increased demand. Interest revenue increased by about $37,000 due to the $1.4 million refund received from Next Era after they performed a true-up calculation. And capital contributions decreased by about $103,000 in 2024 due to fewer large-scale projects compared to 2023. So again, kind of a high-level picture of what happened in terms of your revenues during 2024. As for expenses in 2024 increased by about $777,000. Again, some of the larger variances are mentioned here. Purchase power, R&S, and transmission costs increased in total by about $668,000 as the number of kilowatt hours purchased increased. Operations expenses decreased by about $87,000, primarily due to lower than expected costs for overhead distribution lines, offset by increased tree trimming costs. I think you guys kind of picked that up towards the end of 23 and then really went at it in 2024. And depreciation expense increased by about $178,000 in 2024 due to an unusual drop in 2023 when numerous meters were removed from the grid. Any questions on any of those? Graph 6 shows the change in net position over the last 5 years. Other than 2021, you guys have actually been pretty consistent in terms of the increases, right around $750,000 each year. Net position increased in 2024 by about $792,000 due to operating income of $328,000, non-operating income of $187,000, and capital contributions of about $276,000 or $277,000. Graph 6 shows operating revenues, and this is a distribution from 2020 to 2024. Operating revenues distribution has been relatively consistent over the last 5 years, with a slight decrease in electricity and a slight increase in R&S. For the most part, pretty consistent. And then the final graph just shows operating expenses in a pie chart. So just a different way of looking at your expenses. When looking at this, you can see your three largest categories were purchase power at 56%, R&S at about 19%, and general administration at about 11%. I think pretty consistent with what you guys have seen in the past. I think when I put this graph together, it looked pretty consistent between the years, but probably no big surprises.
Thank you, Casey.
Yeah, that was.
Any, do we have any public? We don't have any public, do we? Let's see any.
No, we just, no public.
Okay. Any questions from trustees on Casey's presentation?
None for me.
Another good job.
Yeah, to Matt and his
Yeah.
staff. Yeah, it's always nice when we come in and we do a quick, efficient audit. I can tell you, in the last 5 years, audits drag on. We go, people aren't ready. Not the case here. So it's really kind of refreshing, honestly.
Thank you, Matt.
Everybody's welcome.
Well deserved. Kudos. Is there anything else for Casey, or can we start and spin and loose?
Thank you, Casey.
Of course. Yes.
Next year is another year.
Another year. Yes. Yes. Yeah. It will come quickly, as it always does.
Yeah, well, it'll be new faces
Yes.
next year. So
It will be.
yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless I can convince Zach to come back again,
Yeah.
which I will try.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Do we, is there anyone who inclined to put a motion forward to approve the 2024 annual audited financial statements as presented?
So moved. Second.
Okay, Bob Georgitis and Bob E. Moved and seconded. Okay, I'll make a roll call vote. Kurt, how do you
Curtis is a
vote?
Yay. Yay.
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Bob E, Bob G. E. I'll vote E, so that's 4 in favor and 1 absent. I haven't seen Beverly up yet. Have you, Matt?
No, I have not. She's not
Okay.
here.
Probably time change. She hasn't figured it out.
She did mention that she was not feeling 100% herself. So
Okay, next item on the agenda is the March 2025 operating report, which you've all had a chance to see and hopefully read. Does anyone have any questions on this one? Matt will be answering questions tonight in Anna's absence. We hope, right, Matt?
Yep.
he's going to try.
Is there anything anybody wants to go over?
No, do you know anything? Well,
Nope.
yes, one thing. Wasn't aware of the Dave's Mills. I know that's a small house, I think. And so you know anything about the story about that, Matt? How much power that'll generate?
She mentioned it, but I didn't log it in my mind. So I don't have an answer for you, Curtis, but she'll be quick to have that for you.
Not very big. They've got a rotating solar panel and they got the dam.
Small.
This is not hydropower?
Both.
Oh, both. Okay, good.
I mean, I drove by it for years,
Well, the hydropower has been there for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then they put up an articulated panel on a
Oh,
pole.
follow the sun.
Anything else from anybody? Questions on the operating report? Next item is the treasurer's report, Matt.
You know, I did look more than once, but I didn't have anything really to say. Just to reiterate that the net energy transmission revenue line will continue to show a deficit until we've completed to refund the over collection that we had from 2024. And so we're anticipating to modify the rates probably after July, because July is when we'll get this true up information from
Mhm.
Nextera to know if we owe them or they owe us.
I did have one question, but I'm not sure I can find it now.
Yep.
I can't, so,
Okay. Well, give me an email if you. If it
no, it's
comes to
okay.
you.
It had to do with liabilities, I think. Okay, any other questions from any of the trustees here on treasurer's report?
Done.
Kurt, you okay?
I am okay, thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Item number 5 is to authorize payment greater than $20,000 for Siemens for fire alarm system in the amount of $35,000. Anybody want to give us Duncan or Matt? Give
Yeah,
us
so
the background on this?
Duncan will, Duncan's been heavily involved in this, and he'll kind of explain the need for it and what it can do for us.
So in the process of changing out our intrusion system here, it was discovered that our current fire alarm system was attached to it. It wasn't a separate system. It was not monitored as a fire system. It was just a point in our intrusion system, which is not how it should go, because that means that there's no sound, no audible strobes, or excuse me, visual strobes, audible siren. So if one of the heat detectors did go off, the only thing that would happen was the police would get called. That being said, we went and checked with 3 different companies. Unfortunately, none are local. 2 are out of the Portland area, Scarborough, Westbrook area. 1 was from over in New Hampshire. We had all 3 of them come through, do a walk around, check out, and see what it would take to have a working fire alarm system put in. 2 of the quotes were right around between 30, 35. The other one was at about 17,000. The Siemens one is the only one that was been approved by the fire department, and they've gone through meetings with the town as well as the fire department to get an approved plan in place. What that will consist of is new heat and smoke detectors, because these were put in and have far exceeded their lifespan. Audible horn and visual strobe lights, and pull stations by the exits. So hopefully no frills, but enough to bring us up and have safe protection of the building and assets inside.
And this one calls directly to the fire department?
It'll go through the 911 dispatch center.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, Matt, just not to break in here, but I see 2 participants up there.
Oh, we're one of them.
Oh, we're one?
Yeah.
Okay. Good, I'm glad we're watching.
Thank you.
Okay, any other details, Duncan, that we should know about?
Not unless you guys have questions.
Questions?
So just a question, just to reiterate, we do not have a functioning fire alarm system in the building now?
Correct.
We don't have a dedicated system.
Non-functioning.
It wasn't
Oh, it's
working.
not functioning
It
at
wasn't-
They're not allowed to plug in to the intrusion system. That was done either in-house or
Okay.
prior to anything else.
Wow. Okay.
And I assume you made the statement that the fire department only approves one system. They have the right to do that and tell us.
They are the authority. So the other 2 companies never even made an appointment to go talk with the fire department. But by code, they are the authority having jurisdiction on it. They need to approve fire alarm systems before they install.
Just in commercial buildings?
Commercial, I know of. Residential, I think it depends if there's any statutes in place or requirements by the town.
Which we don't have, but
So
commercial would be the
commercial would
state
fall
fire
under it.
marshal's office, and I think delegated down to the
Yep.
the local jurisdiction. So, yeah, I would move that we accept the proposal as described.
I'll second that.
In the amount of?
35,000.
Thank you.
Just a comment?
Yep.
have a comment. I know it's moved and seconded. I'm sure we're all frustrated to have these surprises of expenses, things that are absolutely necessary, but we weren't aware of. And I'm glad that Anna is cleaning these up, but it's still disturbing, frustrating, bewildering that we don't have a working fire alarm system in the office. That's my comment.
You know, the way she's going and her approach, there will come a day when we don't have any more surprises.
Is that a promise? Matt?
I guarantee it, Bob.
Can you sign up
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah.
Oh,
And also,
boy.
just to follow up on Kurt's question, it's not just the office, it's the equipment bay and everything else too,
Yeah,
right?
it would be the-
So the entire building is covered, not just the offices. Is there a pull station in the equipment bay too, and the new one?
On the new one, yes.
Yeah.
By every exterior exit, and
Right.
if we had them stairs at the top, top of every stairwell.
Okay. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve payments to Siemens for the amount of $35,000. Roll call vote. Kurt?
I vote yes.
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 I vote yes, so that's 4-0-1. Very good. Thank you, Duncan.
Another good job.
There
Okay,
wasn't much I did on this one.
moving on to other business, bylaw update. We talked about taking a look at that at some future date.
Have a good night.
You guys as well.
Yeah, so if it would be okay with the board, that'll be addressed at a subsequent meeting.
Oh, well, we tabled that for a future meeting.
We did. The soonest it would be the June meeting, right? June 25th if we wanted to, but I'm not sure we'll get there, so. Okay, and then the other item under other business is LD 1412, which,
I have an update. So this was a piece of legislation that Anna was heavily involved with, and it passed. So it passed, and now we're able to have a larger reserve, if you will. That's the best way to say it. So we were allowed 25%, and now we can have 35%. But it's 35% including the cost of purchase power. And that's the very significant thing about it, because as you know, that's our single largest expense. You know, it's, well, I don't know, it'd be about $12 million a year. It's significant, and because we can now add that to our calculations, it will make not only having a stronger reserve possible for contingencies, but we can also now plan to fund some of these other projects that we may have had to go out for, we may have had to leverage instead. So it's to me, it's quite an accomplishment, and it also benefits the other COUs in the state. So that's my update for that one.
is there any specific reserve accounts built into that LD? Or is it just an overall expansion of our reserves?
That's true. Yeah, it's a holistic formula that encompasses all of the operations for the COU, and not earmarks, things like that. No.
90 days after the close of the legislature? So it wasn't emergency legislation, was it?
I don't believe so.
I didn't
And she,
see it on the website.
yeah, she mentioned that she's still waiting for the final paperwork, but she has this heads up in advance that it has passed.
Yeah, I checked on the website today. I didn't see it already come out, so.
Yep.
Okay, well, that is good news.
Yeah.
Okay, public comment period. If there's any public watching, if there isn't, then we're gonna skip that and go on to, I don't see any more. Skip that. Our next regular board meeting would be May 28th. If there's any objection or questions. Kurt, May 28th, okay with you? Next week?
It sounds fine. Yes.
Okay. It's close to Memorial Day, right?
After.
The day after Memorial Day? Okay. Is that, anybody gonna be gone?
I'll be back.
Okay. Okay. May 28th is our next regular meeting. Any other questions from the board members, trustees?
This is
Anybody
gonna-
ready to go
This is
home?
gonna be a record.
Working on it.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second that.
I vote
Yes.
yay.
Anything, okay. Did you have anything else, Matt? I didn't mean to step on your tongue.
No,
too late.
no, I did not.
Okay. Kurt, how do you vote for adjournment?
Yay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. We are adjourned at, what time is it?
5:26.
5:27?
5:26. All right.
5:27.